Praise the Lord. Bwana asifiwe. We are glad to be back. This is God of Wonder TV, Marriage Therapy. My name is Anne Karambu Mwangi. I thank God for this time that He has given us to be able to share on this topic that I know is an important topic for all of us, whether those that are married, those that are aspiring to get married, those that are already in marriage, or even those that are out of their marriages. I know this is a topic that we all would want to hear more about. So today we will be talking about misconceptions of marriage. And remember, our topic on marriage therapy is Christ-centered, so we may not ascribe to secular thinking of marriage. So our base is the Word of God. We have been talking about courtship. We talked about dating, and we were able to finish on those two areas. Now we are getting into the real meat, that is marriage. And we're asking ourselves, what is this that makes marriages not work? What is this mindset that when someone gets into marriage with, ends up affecting their marriages, or maybe expectations that are not able to be met by their partners? And how can I be able to be careful the kind of expectations I have so that they don't affect how my marriage will be? Of course, when we are talking about misconceptions, we are talking about expectations, high expectations. And these are expectations of young people. It is expectations of people who maybe are coming from another marriage, or maybe a divorce, or others are also coming from either their spouses have passed on and they're getting into another marriage. These misconceptions affect all people. But of course, our focus mostly as we speak on this topic, because we have just been talking about dating and courtship, is to the young person, that person who has never been married. And we are saying, how can I be able to be careful so that I don't put very high expectations that will not be met by my partner? How can I be able, what are these things that if I put them as expectations, they may fail the way I expect marriage? I remember, of course, many times when I'm talking to couples, you will hear someone saying that when I got into marriage, I felt like I have been cheated. What I was expecting is not what I found in marriage. And one of those areas of misconception is when we imagine that, number one, marriage should resemble the wedding day. Remember, the wedding day is a day of celebration. So you can't expect that from day one to the day 50th anniversary, you will still be celebrating. There will be times of misunderstanding. There will be times of mood swings. There will be times when you're not as happy as you expect to be. Now, when those times come, how am I supposed to behave? So, of course, marriage is not will not resemble a wedding day every single day. And I know this is a challenge that affects many young people, and it begins as early as honeymoon. Somebody is imagining that the glam and all the celebration that was happening in the wedding is what will get into the honeymoon and into even beginning the first 1 month, second one, into the 2 month. Of course, marriages are much more than that. There is intimacy, vulnerability, commitment, and patience that are great attributes of a marriage. So the very beginning, where I am supposed to begin, is intimacy. Am I connected to this person? Do I connect with them? Sometimes I hear young people say that I do not feel any love for that person. Allow me to say that love is not about feelings. It is commitment. I think we have said that so many other times here, that it is commitment. Commitment is what is going to build intimacy. It's what is going to even help us to be vulnerable with one another. Vulnerability, I'm talking about, I can be able to open up. I can be able to be vulnerable before my partner and not fear what they're going to think about me. Of course, commitment How committed am I into this relationship? Then there is patience. How patient am I? How willing am I to go through this journey? There are people, of course, like you get into marriage and you realize maybe especially the aspect of finances. Maybe you're not able to get the things that you thought you would be able to get from one another. And before you know it, there are so many challenges that are happening financially. This is the time our patience is being tested. Or maybe even it is disagreement with the in-laws. These are things that are expected. When children come, those are areas that will require a lot of patience. So, and of course, fun is what you have with friends. Of course, we can be able to have fun in marriage, yes, but we cannot expect fun every single day. So, we should not have the perception that marriage should resemble the wedding day every single time. It should be anchored on intimacy, vulnerability, commitment, and patience. I can be able to remain there. And I'm not talking about enduring. I'm talking about I have chosen that I am in this to stay. And of course, again, many marriages are begun without commitment, without really knowing what is this you are getting into. So it's like you get to learn. You start learning about marriage when you're inside already. The next point is marriage shouldn't be work. That is another misconception, that marriage shouldn't be work. That is a misconception. Allow me to say that it is work. There is a lot of effort put to it because it is commitment. I have to choose to make my marriage work. I have to choose to make my marriage be able to shine. I have to choose to make my marriage be able to align to the purposes of God. I have to allow my marriage to be able to work and raise children who are godly, raise children who are committed, who have good morals, who are productive in the society. This can only happen with commitment. If I am not committed enough to work my marriage, there is an analogy I like giving when we are talking about marriage. It is like a garden. Every single lad begins with a bush. It begins with thorns and thistles. I have to be able to work, nurture it. I have to be able to prepare that lad, cultivate it, make sure that I water it, make sure that when I plant the seeds, I'm working it out. So this is the same work that is put into marriage. I have to work to make my relationship work. Now, and as I'm working, the motivation should not be how I am all the time comparing myself with others. This is the worst part of it. When we compare ourselves with other people, I want to have the home like that one of my friend. I have to live in a certain neighborhood like the one of my friend. The moment we do that, now we are already working against our own marriage. So I have to work it out. And this is a mindset I have to have even before I get into marriage. So marriage shouldn't be work. Yes, it should be. I am saying that it should be work. I have to be willing to work it out. And of course, sometimes you realize because of this misconception, when now there are so many responsibilities put upon us, we are not able to work towards doing that which is expected of us. And of course, when now that work is expected, the nurturing I was talking about, the working on the garden so that it can be able to produce. The moment I am required to do that, you see many people now, problems begin from there. Issues of divorce, issues of disagreements start from that point. And somebody starts imagining that it is the spouse who is the problem, when really it is the misconception someone came in marriage with. That is the second one. The third one is marriage will automatically make you closer as a couple. Marriage will automatically make you closer as a couple. This is a misconception that I've seen many young people especially get into. Someone meets a person within a week, within 2 weeks, and the next minute they are into marriage. They are living together. You know nothing about the person. You don't know about their background. You don't know where they're living. You don't know who they are. You've not worked out even to know whether you are compatible. You did nothing. You did zero work into that relationship. I'm talking about marriage will automatically make you closer as a couple. Allow me to say that it doesn't. This is the same misconception where someone thinks that when you have sexual intimacy in marriage, that it makes you closer. It doesn't. Because all the concept, if it is the issue of knowing each other, if it is the issue of compatibility, do you understand the personality of this person? Do you even know about their background? So that even as you're getting into that relationship, you know, am I able to cope with this relationship? So marriage does not make couples closer. It will make you closer, but only if the individuals in the marriage are open to being closer. So openness is key. The act of marriage alone, I'm talking about the intimacy, sexual intimacy, won't do it. There's a misconception that now when we have a sexual relationship every other day with my spouse, that we are going to be close to each other. It will not happen. Because I have to be open from my heart, from my mind, an open mind, be willing to compromise some of my things that I stand for. I have to be able to compromise to accommodate the other person. I have to know, is this person that I'm with, do we share the same values? If those things are not dealt with, closeness, even if we are living in the same room, even if we are living in the same house, that one will not make us be close to each other. The fourth one is you and your spouse are a unit and no longer individuals. You and your spouse are a unit and no longer individuals. Of course, I know there is the vows that we make, and the two shall become one. The oneness does not take away my individuality. The oneness does not take away my singlehood. The oneness does not take away the things that I was able to do as a person. Maybe it is in career-wise. I will not stop being the counselor I was because I have gotten married. I will not stop being the teacher I was because I have gotten married. If I'm in ministry, I will not stop being into ministry and doing that which I'm supposed to be doing simply because I have been married. So you and your spouse are a unit and no longer individuals. So what happens is that when you have this misconception, you will find yourself trying to force the other to fit in your in that which they are not wired to do, because we are gifted differently. We have different talents, we have different aspirations, and although we are married, we are not the same. So yes, we are supposed to be one, and the oneness comes in the synergy of being able to work together. It comes in the aspect, of course, of being able to complement one another, but not really forcing another to be like you. Of course, we have seen a lot of this happening, where people get married, and the next minute you see someone telling you, now you cannot continue to do this and the other because now we are married. What you're simply doing to that person is that you're killing who they are. Because the moment I stop doing that which I am passionate about, the moment I stop doing that which I've been wired by God to do, I have already been, it's like you have killed my existence. Because what makes us to thrive is when we live in our purpose, when we live in the potential that God has put us into. So yes, we are two, but we are individuals. We are supposed to be one by complementing each other. If I am, there are things like, maybe let me give my example. I'm one person that wants things to be done ASAP, whether I will be making a mistake or not. In fact, most of the times I will not think about those mistakes. I will not even think about the consequences. But my husband is this person that is going to think it through. Is going to think about the consequences. Do we have enough cost? Are we able to meet the cost of that which we want to do? But for me, I want it done and done very fast. So when my spouse comes, he is able to compliment me. I also will compliment him in slow decision making. So when we understand those concepts, then we can be able to look at our individuality and look at it positively and not make it a negativity in our relationship or marriage. So of course, the minute two people cease being the individuals who entered the relationship, the unit begins a slow downward spiral. Of course, when you force another not to be themselves, you are already destroying who they really are, their personality. So emphasis on the slow aspect. It might not be apparent at first, but when one or both of the people in marriage stop being individuals, the relationship will always suffer. Either that or the other relationship becomes so codependent that when without the company of their spouse, a person is dysfunctional. So you see the consequences, of course, of not the person being an individual. There is that aspect of being codependent on another, that it's like you stop living and now you're living for the other person. And of course, this is very common. We see it happening a lot. Sometimes when one spouse is not there or maybe they're unwell, it's like the family is not running completely because the other person is like they got into the other person's personality and they lost their own. So it is important to remain an individual. So marriage does not take your individuality. Now, the moment you get into marriage without misconception, what is going to happen is that, of course, you will not be able to explore your potential. You will not be able to explore even your purpose, even on the aspect, of course, of parenting and any other area that you are supposed to participate as an individual. Now, number 5, getting married will solve problems of trust and insecurity. Getting married will solve problems of trust and insecurity. Now, there are many people who get into marriage. And in fact, I hear people saying that I know when I get married, I will feel good about myself. When I get married, I know my problems will be solved. When I get married, I will find a lover. I will find a person who appreciates me. When I get married, I will be able to handle all my problems. Allow me to say the truth is that there is nobody who can sort you out of your problems. In fact, when you get into marriage with problems, they become even more magnified. If you had issues of bitterness, they will be magnified in marriage. If you had issues of unforgiveness, they will be magnified in that place. If you had trust issues, they will even be magnified in marriage. So the best thing that I can do even before I get into that marriage is deal with the problems, the insecurities of life, deal with the mistrust issues, deal with my pain, deal with my, of course, unforgiveness, bitterness, those things that make me, of course, not be able to relate with other people better. Of course, there's this conception that because this person loves me, they will be able to understand me. Allow me to say that, yes, they will, they might, they may even be very willing. But because the problem is not their problem, it is your problem, it will continue growing. In fact, what marriage does is that it magnifies insecurities, it magnifies mistrust, it magnifies our inner problems that we have never handled. And that's why you see, if I got into a marriage with bitterness, that bitterness will grow. I will keep being hurt by my spouse every other day because I have never sat down and dealt with my bitterness. If it is the issue of unforgiveness, I will always, anytime anything is done that I am not happy with, I am going to accumulate that unforgiveness one day after another. If I had issues of trust, I will never even sleep, because all the time I'm wondering, where is my spouse? Where are they? Where have they? Who are they talking to? Why are they not home? Who is this person that they work with? Insecurity increases. So I said that any problem or insecurity is magnified in marriage. It is not solved by marriage. So the best thing that I can be able to do is, even before I get into that marriage, and I know, I am aware that I am struggling with these challenges, issues of anger, hatred, I have to deal with them before. Because if I don't deal with them, they are going to magnify themselves in marriage. I hope we are getting that part, because it is key. It is one of the reasons that many marriages are being destroyed. It is the reason many children are ending up growing up without both of the parents, because I got into a relationship, a marriage relationship, when I am dysfunctional. So definitely I'll raise dysfunctional people around me. And the most important thing is make sure I deal with myself so that I am whole. Because marriage does not heal anyone. Good. Number 6 there, you can change your partner. The attitude that, in fact, we say we put it very lightly, nitam change. If it is for us who are believers, you hear someone getting married to an unbeliever, and you hear young people saying, I'll preach to them. I have said on marriage therapy again that marriage is not one of the ways of evangelism. We have not been sent to evangelize to people by getting married to non-believers. The Bible is clear on that. It tells us that don't be unequally yoked with non-believers. So our work is not to go changing people. And if anything, evangelism, we are not the ones who change people. The work of transforming the heart of man is the work of the Holy Spirit. And we are not the Holy Spirit. We can preach to them, but we can't change them. So in the same way, we can't change our spouses. We can't change them because I am born again and spiritually endowed. I cannot say I will have this person in my life and I will be able to preach to them and they become good people when they are not. So the desire or the thought that we can be able to change them should not be there. We should be a people who can be able to say, I will be able to embrace this person the way they are. I will be able to accommodate this person the way they are. If the person is an unbeliever, that is not our work. Our work is not to change people. The work of transformation of the hearts of men, it's the work of God. Although we do the work of evangelism, we don't change people. Our work is not to change the hearts of men. That is the work of the Holy Spirit. So even as we are ministering to our people that we meet and friends that we connect with, we should not have that notion that we are the ones to change them. And of course, there are other issues like maybe there is a personality that you don't like in your spouse. The thinking that you can be able to change a natural personality, of course, is a big mountain to climb because you will never be able to do that. The best thing that we can be able to do is appreciate one another, is be able to accommodate each other. If our personalities are different, I can't force somebody to be me. I cannot force someone to be like what I am. Like I see maybe look even at the issue of when you are alert. Personally, I am normally very alert at night. That is when I do most of my things. My husband is completely different. He is alert in the morning. So I cannot force him to be alert with me at night. Or he can't force me to be alert with him in the morning because our personalities are different. I cannot force someone to do things that they are not. But there is a lot of this that happens in marriage and definitely affects our relationships. By the desire to change people, by the desire to see and conform them to who we want them to be, we end up injuring our relationship. And of course, what happens is that what is produced by this is hatred for one another, because somebody is forcing you not to be you. So that creates hate. And of course, our relationships are going to be strained because of that. So from the onset, even before I get into that marriage, I should be able to know that I may not be able to do much. And by the way, by the time we are meeting our spouses, they are 20, 25 years old, 30 years old. They have lived all their life alone. So what is this that would make you think that you can change an adult that you just met simply because you've married them? It is not possible. The best thing that we can do is be able to accommodate one another. Number 7 is your spouse is responsible for making you feel better. Your spouse is responsible for making you feel better. That is number 7. Your spouse is responsible for making you feel better. Now, if you don't feel better about yourself when you are alone, the spouse may not be able to make you feel good about yourself. And that's why our emphasis on marriage therapy is, by the time I am in courtship, I am in dating, I have already known who I am. I have understood my self-worth. I have already understood my self-esteem. I know who I am. So by the time I am connecting with the other person, I am not looking for somebody to compliment me. I am not looking for somebody to tell me that I am beautiful or I am handsome or I can be able to do this or the other. I am firm. I know what I can be able to do. I know what I am bringing on the table. I know that I am coming with my abilities, with my talents, with my expertise. I am coming with my career. And this is what I am coming to give into the relationship. So the other person is not coming to make me feel good about myself. I am already feeling good about myself. The other person is just coming to compliment me, not to accomplish me. Allow me to emphasize that the spouse does not come to accomplish me, but to compliment me. It is we stand together, we make each other better. We stand together, we grow together, we do things and make them better. If I was earning 50,000, the person comes with his 100,000. We have 150 richer. We can be able to do things in a better way, rather than expecting that other person to be the one to come and better my life. And of course, if this is the expectation that I have as I'm getting into marriage, what is going to happen when the other person is not able to accomplish that? I'll start feeling that they don't love me, they don't think about me, they are looking down on me, because I am giving them expectations that they cannot be able to fulfill. So I hope we got that point of your spouse is responsible for making you feel better. It's a misconception. Another thing is kids will improve a marriage. Children or children will improve a marriage. Of course, there are so many people who get married because of having children or becoming expectant. Now, when we were talking, there's a time we talked about reasons for not getting married. One of them is that we don't get married because we became pregnant. Because the truth is that by the time we are getting into that space, maybe we do not know each other, we've not even understood each other's personality, and these are things that we maybe stumbled into without even any plan. So marriage being an institution, marriage being a long-term engagement that I'm getting into, I cannot just take it casually. Simply because I am pregnant now, I need to get married to that person. It does not mean that. And of course, that's why I have always said that when God warns us of sexual sin, it is not so that we can be holy. It is that we may be able to safeguard ourselves from being hurt. It is just like the traffic rules. The traffic rules are not there to make the police happy. They are there to safeguard our safety. The same way the issue of premarital sex, sex before marriage, they are there to safeguard us so that we don't get into these relationships where I am expectant or we are having children and we have not even planned for them. And the next minute we are fighting over those children. I've met many children who parents have blamed them for not going to school. I remember I was talking to someone the other day, and they were telling me how their mother does not keeps reminding them every other time that you are the reason why I never went to the university. How is that child involved? How is that baby involved in the fact that you did not complete your studies? Was it the problem of the child, or was it the problem of the mother and the father? But of course, because of not wanting to follow the rules, guidelines that have been well set, we find ourselves in situations that end up even affecting our children. The person I am talking about is somebody who is nearing their 40. But still, the parent feels that this is the one who made me not to achieve my goals. That is wrong. So children do not improve our marriages. Even when we are already married, getting 2, 3, 5 children does not make my marriage better. What makes our marriages better? It is our relationship. It is intimacy. It's connection. It is, of course, commitment. It is how much are we willing to hold to one another. The 9th point is you can continue with your social life as it has been. You can continue with your social life as it has been. If you of course, you are a person who would move around with your girlfriends, and you would move around with your boyfriends and your company of boys, and you would do all manner of things, road trips and everything. And then still, when you get into marriage, you still want to remain with that group. One of the things that this does is that it wastes your time to nurture and build your family. Because every time that your family needs you so that you can be able to bond and even grow together, you are with friends. And I am not saying that we cut our social life, no. But we have to put limits. It cannot be the same way I was doing when I was single. It has to be a mutual agreement between you. Or you can also incorporate your spouse into the social circle that you have been moving around with. But when you leave one of your spouses behind, you can be sure that will be a recipe for disagreement. It will be a recipe for disconnection in the marriage, and it is going to affect relationship. The 10th point and the last one is marriage has to be perfect. If it fails, I am a failure. Marriage has to be perfect, or I am a failure if it fails. Now, the relationship we are talking about is a relationship that has ups and downs, has moments when we are not talking to each other, has moments of disagreements, has moments of not being able to understand each other. Remember, it is a making process. So things will not be perfect. There are times we will not do things the right way. There are times all these misconceptions I've written here, they will be playing in our marriages. It does not mean that you are a failure. It means that you're still learning. We can't learn without mistakes. Even in marriage, mistakes will be there. Mistakes will happen. And those are the greatest lessons of our lives. Now, don't label yourself a failure because your marriage is not perfect. And I'm putting perfect in quotes because there is no marriage that is perfect. One of the things that we do a lot is when we compare our marriages with other people, and we want our marriage to be a duplicate of what we saw our friends being like. And sometimes what we see is not real. What we see does not even exist. It is something that they play in the open. And the truth is that what happens right inside their house is not as glamorous as what we see outside. So it's good to always learn from the mistakes of our marriage. be willing to learn, be willing to say that the mistake of yesterday is going to perfect my marriage tomorrow. The mistake of last month is going to make me better. The mistake of today is going to make me better tomorrow. So just in a recap of what we've just talked about, the first one we have said marriage should resemble, we are talking about misconceptions of marriage, and we are saying that the first one is marriage should resemble the wedding day. It shouldn't. Marriage shouldn't be work. It should not be too much effort. I should just flow. Things must just work because we love each other. That is a misconception. Marriage will automatically make you closer as a couple. No, work has to be put into it. You and your spouse are a unit and no longer individuals. We are individuals, even in marriage. We remain individuals. Our character, our abilities, our talents remain even when we get married. Getting married will solve all my problems and trust and insecurity. No, it won't. I said it will magnify them. You can change your spouse. That is not your work. Your work is to be able to accept your spouse the way they are and be able to appreciate them the way they are. And that's the purpose of dating and courtship, so that you can be able to know your spouse better. Your spouse is responsible for making you feel better. No, that is not their work. Their work is to complement, not to make you complete. Kids or children will improve a marriage. Yes, it is good. It is a blessing to have children, but they are not the recipe that makes our marriages better. You can continue with your social life. Of course, if you choose that, what is going to happen is you just made a recipe for the destruction of your relationship. Then we ended there by saying that marriage has to be perfect or it's a failure. No, we will make mistakes. Things will happen. We will mess up. And part of that is learning. We learn every other day by making mistakes. And the mistakes we make, we have to appreciate them and allow ourselves to learn from them. So may the Lord bless you so much. Even as we continue on marriage therapy, that was marriage therapy on God of Wonder TV. I pray that next be able to meet right here, same time, so that we can be able to learn more on marriage and how to be able to raise a godly generation, because the intention is to be able to raise children who are godly, children that can be able to pass the same godliness to the next generation. May the Lord bless you so much. My name is Ann Karambu Mwangi. God bless you.